Wrestling is taking over the UFC. So in today's video, I want to go through the 10 best wrestlers in the UFC today. So I'm going to be talking about today, not all time, not history. I just want to preface the best UFC wrestlers today because some of them are the future, some of them are future champions, some of them are great. I want to explain this before I get into the video. I'm not going to be looking at your wrestling like history. I'm not going to be looking at what you did outside the MMA octagon. This is only based on MMA octagon wrestling. I don't care if you were a division, whatever champion a couple years ago, if you were all Olympic champion. It doesn't really matter because on this list, I'm only looking at octagon wrestling. So if people are going to be in the comments like, where's Bo Nickel? He could barely take down Cody Brutnage and he was struggling so much and getting thrown around like Cody Brutnage. I don't want to hear that. I know you guys want Bo Nickel on this list. He will not be on this list because his MMA wrestling so far has not been all that. He hasn't been proven against any other decent wrestler. So I'm not going to really give Bo Nickel the nudge that you guys want me to give him. So now that disclaimer is out the way, let's get into the video. Starting off with the number 10 spot. I got Umar Nurmagomedov. Now, people might be like, Kenny, Umar should be higher. Kenny, he's really good at wrestling. And I know, but like I said, it goes back to the point that he's not as proven as I want him to be right now. After he beats Umar, he gets skyrocketed up to like number 2 or something. But like, just given the situation right now, I will put him number 10. He was against Beksat, the Kazakhstani guy. He showed really great defensive wrestling. He kept getting up every time Umar took him down. Umar showed me he was able to still get him down while, like, having that high pace of wrestling. No matter what, Umar would still be pretty consistent with his takedowns. And, of course, the Corey Sandhagen fight. Corey Sandhagen, known as a striker, but anyone who knows Corey Sandhagen and seen his recent fights before Umar saw how much success he had in the wrestling department against Rob Font, etc. Corey Sandhagen has wrestling. He has really great defensive wrestling. And he was defending well against Umar, but Umar was just more, persistent, and he wouldn't give up, and he would keep wrestling and successfully taking down Corey Sandhagen. He did it successfully 5 times. So I do look at Umar. I do want to applaud him. He is a great wrestler. I know his skills are already up there in the wrestling department. He could be higher, but I do want to see him be a little bit more proven in the octagon and like maybe go against, Merab, because he's probably going to fight Merab next. We'll see how those wrestling exchanges go. But for now, I definitely think Umar's number 10. Definitely should be acknowledged as one of the best wrestlers, but not proven enough to be in the top 5. Coming in at the number 9 spot, we got Arman Tsarukyan. And now, Arman has been in the lightweight division against some of the best wrestlers. Of course, he started off his UFC debut against someone like Islam Makhachev, who was already tough, in the wrestling department. It's like B22 going against Islam. That's no easy task. Of course, he been in there against Gamrot. He did get out wrestled by Gamrot as well. Over the course of 5 rounds because his endurance was kind of lackluster. However, I'm gonna cut him some slack because you probably because Gamrot's not on this list. I'll put a disclaimer out. Yeah, Gamrot's actually not on this list. Because the more I see Gamrot, the more I start to realize his wrestling is kind of mid and he fatigues a little bit quicker. I do think Arman has shown more progress in their wrestling since that fight. So Arman Tsarukyan, he goes in with the same game plan every time. He kind of goes into wrestle, and for the most part, he has success. In his last fight, he has a great success against Charles Oliveira in the wrestling department too. I'm not saying Charles is some kind of absurd wrestler, even because he has no hairline. I just want to preface the fact that Charles' lack of hairline will lead to him getting out wrestled by Arman in more situations than none. So I am gonna give Arman some respect. I give Arman a hard time because people just think he beats Islam, which is stupid and delusional. But like I said, Arman, great wrestler, and I'm gonna put him in number 9 spot. Coming in at the number 8 spot, I got Kamaru Nigerian Nightmare Usman. And yes, I'm still going to put him top 8. I still think he's one of the best wrestlers in his weight class and in the UFC. Usman, before the Hamza fight, I know he had the best takedown defense in UFC history before the Hamza fight. I just think Hamza's that good to take him down, which you're going to see by Hamza's placement on this list. But Kamaru Usman's still him, yo. It's still Usman. He still goes in there and get out wrestle 99.99% of the whole division. We've seen him do it against all the other people. He actually successfully took down Colby Covington. Colby can never take him down. Colby's a really good wrestler as well. So I've seen Kamaru in there with the tough people, good wrestlers. Took down RDA multiple times. Took down Leon Edwards in their first and second fight multiple times. Before that head kick in the second fight, he was dominating Leon. So and Leon's a good defensive wrestler. So I just know Usman's a really talented wrestler, but I feel like it might be because of recency bias. People might forget how good Usman really is because, like I said, what Hamza did to him. But Usman needs to be respected. Respect my GOAT, my bald-headed GOAT, bro. Usman used to have a crooked hairline, but he cut that because Nigerians don't walk around with crooked hairlines. Once he realized that his hairline was a little bit, lackluster, he went bald. So I respect Usman for that. He mad swole, he mad strong, and he's a great wrestler, which is why he's number 8. In his prime, he obviously would be really, a lot higher on a list like this. But, of course, I don't think he's in his prime, speaking in, I guess, correct terms because he's not really winning, but I still don't think he's as bad as people. I don't think he's on a decline or a downfall. People are trying to paint the narrative that he's lost 3 in a row, he's bad, bro. He's not. It's not as bad as people make it seem. So I do think Usman's still up there and one of the best wrestlers in the UFC. Uzuze. Coming in at the number 7 spot, I got John Bones Jones. Yes, John Jones. I know he's inactive, but like even his last fight, like he showed that like yeah, I can still wrestle. But then again, he's not going to be that high because I do think Cyril Gane has like really bad wrestling. Like okay, listen, I know Jones is a good wrestler, but in the same hand, I think Cyril Gane sucks at wrestling. Like, I think he has no defensive wrestling. He made Francis Ngannou look like Khabib Nurmagomedov. Francis Ngannou was picking up Cyril Gane, throwing him around the place, beating him up. Like, it was like, and I don't think Francis Ngannou is some kind of absurd wrestler. I just think he's strong. So, like I said, John Jones, I give him respect because he took down Cyril Gane. And some of his other fights before that in light heavyweight, before he even moved up, like, he would save himself due to wrestling. The only reason he beat Reyes because in the later rounds, he started wrestling a lot better. Beat Gustin comfortably in the rematch just because the wrestling. Like, Jones could still wrestle. I know it's been a little bit. He's inactive, so he's not going to be wicked high on this list. But number 7 is going to do Jones justice because I'm not putting Jones anywhere above fucking number 7. Even if you're a Jones Glazer, just be happy he's on this list for being so inactive because I still got to respect the wrestling and who he is. And he's a PED user with a long neck, with a roided neck, but I'm going to still give him respect, so you're welcome for that. Yeah, so I'm going to keep John Jones at number 7 spot just because you're welcome. Coming in at the top 6, these are some good elite wrestlers. This is the best of the best in the UFC. I'm starting off with Aljamain Sterling. And Aljo's a really good wrestler because, first of all, I think Peter has pretty good wrestling. Like, in the first fight, he was kind of mauling Aljo. They kept taking him down multiple. I think he took him like 7 times. The rematch, Aljo adjusted, took him down a good amount of times. Aljo went against Henry Cejudo, Olympic wrestler, like Olympic caliber of wrestler. I wrestled him as well, showed he had good wrestling in that department. My biggest concern with Aljo was if he goes up in weight, will his wrestling and restraint transfer? And it did, because against Calvin Kattar, who had like a 90% something takedown defense before that, he got taken out multiple times by Aljo. So I think Aljo's wrestling did translate from weight class to weight class, which shows me his skill is actually that, like, it's that high that he could go to different weight classes and still be able to ragdoll these guys. Bro, he Batista bombed Calvin Kattar, for God's sake. He literally picked him up, Batista bombed him on the octagon. So Aljamain Sterling is one of the better wrestlers, and I gotta give him respect because I feel like people forget how good he is because they remember, oh, Sugar stuffed 1 takedown. That's the stupidest. I can't believe before the Sugar fight with Merab, they're like, he's gonna stuff all Merab's takedowns because he stuffed 1 Sugar takedown. Aljo just wasn't as insistent as Merab is in the wrestling department, so he kind of shot one and let it go and kept striking because he saw so much success in the striking. But yeah, Aljamain Sterling's wrestling is great. I don't know how anyone can even say it's bad. He transfers from 2 different weight classes. He shows that he has skills, so I'm going to give Aljamain Sterling his respect, and I'm going to put him in the top 6 spot, close to the top 5, but you're going to see how stacked my top 5 is, and you're going to understand how Aljamain Sterling can't be up there. And to kick off the number 5 spot, I do got Merab Dvalishvili. Now, you guys are like, damn, he's only 5th, Kenny, but he's such a good, like, listen, Merab's a good wrestler. Why I struggle personally from putting him higher on a list like this is like he has persistence, he has endurance, but like his completion rate, like how often he completes takedowns is a little bit concerning. But I think that goes to his cardio because I think he uses cardio to kind of overwhelm opponents to score takedowns, which I don't mind. It wears on his opponents. But as far as a wrestling list, I feel like I should constitute like skill before most. Like I could, like, endurance is a part of wrestling. It's obviously a factor, but Merab's success rate is just a little bit too low for me to put him in a top 3 situation or something. I do think he's a great wrestler. I do think he could out-wrestle a lot of people in that division. As a matter of fact, Merab can out-wrestle everyone in that division except for Umar. So you're probably like, Kenny, so why's Umar number 10 and Merab's number 5? Just because I think Merab's more, like, proven. People praised Sugar Sean's wrestling defense until Merab took him down multiple times. He took down Henry Cejudo a lot better than I feel like Aljamain Sterling took down Cejudo because he literally picked him up and walked him across the octagon. Olympian wrestler chat, by the way. Like, this is what Merab's doing to the high-level wrestler. So I'm going to give him respect there as well. Of course, what he did to Peter Yan, like, brother, he took down Peter Yan like 11 times, but he shot like 50 takedowns. Like, dude's a machine, bro. Like, his name is so fitting for him because, like, he just doesn't stop. He doesn't ever get tired. So Merab's very good. Of course, I'm going to nick some points because he did go 0 for 16 for Aldo, but I also think Aldo's takedown defense is really special. So yeah, it was a little bit weird, but like I said, I'm going to acknowledge Merab as a top 5 wrestler in the UFC today. You can't make me not. But why he's not a little bit higher in top 5, I don't know if someone wanted him number 1. I just couldn't do it, dude. It's just like I said, it's just like if he was a little bit more effective with the wrestling, I do think his wrestling's effective in like long term. But as far as just like statistically effective, I don't think it's there because I feel like he has a lot of stuff takedowns. But he's still a machine. He lives up to his nickname. He's one of the best wrestlers in the UFC. Number 4 spot. This is gonna surprise some people, even surprise me a little bit looking at this list. But I do think number 4 is Islam Makhachev, and now I do want to say that Islam Makhachev's a great wrestler. I think Islam Makhachev wrestles like with the best of them. He's one of the better wrestlers in the UFC today. You know, like, he's just so good at everything. Like, it's just hard to explain because he's good at everything. Like, he just is. Right now, I honestly nicked some points from Islam just because Dustin Poirier is like, I think he went like, what, 6 for 13 or something on Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier just showed that I think Dustin Poirier is a good defensive wrestler, so I'm not going to, like, say Islam's horrible or anything because I think Islam's one of the best wrestlers ever. But, you know, it's just like, Islam's the best guy Islam out wrestled was probably Arman Sarukian, but he was younger. And then other than that, it was probably like what? Like Dustin Poirier probably, or like Volkanovski. He out wrestled Volkanovski, but Volk showed some good takedown defense too. Islam's so good at everything, so it doesn't really matter that he's number 4 here. But I do think all time he's still one of the best wrestlers of all time, best grapplers and best strikers. Islam's just a full package. He could be higher than number 4. Trust me, I feel like I'm doing him like being a little hard on him, but I do think that the 3 people above him are a little bit more effective and just ruthless with the wrestling. But Islam can still wrestle. He's still one of the best. He can still take down anyone in his division. He will take down Arman a lot in the rematch, like he did in the first fight. He is a better wrestler than Arman. He's the best wrestler in lightweight history outside of Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's how I see it. Yeah, he just happens to be more than a one-trick pony, or like he has a deeper arsenal than everyone else in the lightweight division history too. So he just has a lot of weapons to go to, but I'm still going to put him number 4 because his wrestling is still up there, and I don't think anyone can stuff his takedowns in the welterweight or lightweight division. He's at least going to take you down at one time because I think his wrestling's really good and he's really strong and powerful. But yeah, top 4 for now, but Islam Makhachev, I love him, I respect him, that's my dude. Coming in at the number 3 spot, this will be a shocker. I got Jailton Almeida, and let me just say this. Jailton Almeida is not a human, it's not a heavyweight on the planet Earth that Jailton Almeida will try to shoot on, try to score on, and will not happen on. In his recent fight, destroyed Romanov really easy. I'm not surprised about some of these guys he's beating in the wrestling department, but I do want to explain the narrative that Curtis Blades is the best wrestler in the heavyweight division, like as you would hear, because he has some record about the most takedowns in the heavyweight division, some bullshit like that. Jailton Almeida took him down 9 times in 1 round, 9 times in 5 minutes. The best wrestler in the heavyweight division. And it showed me that, because a lot of people in the UFC, I've noticed, if they see someone with like some kind of good wrestling background, they like kind of stir away from their game plan, like, oh, let me strike a little bit. Jailton Almeida went in there with almost like no respect for Curtis Blades wrestling. He's like, let's test how good of a wrestler you are. He tested it and he showed he was a superior wrestler. I know people are going to come to me in the comments like, yeah, but you got knocked out in the second round. But he got knocked out because it's lack of fight IQ. He held on to a takedown when he should have let go of it. He got caught. He's going to learn from that. As far as the wrestling skill, though, I don't think that like affects his wrestling skill. I do think he's still a skilled offensive wrestler and defensive wrestler. I haven't seen him on his back or took it down. And he went against the best wrestler already. So I feel like in that division, he's going to be champion soon based on his wrestling style. Because like I said, the wrestling is taking over the UFC. Someone like Tom Aspinall, what he was struggling the most with is because he moved so much in the first round. If he has to wrestle a little bit in the first round and he's getting taken down and all that power goes away and all that movement goes away and all that explosiveness goes away, that's where I can see Jailton Almeida pulling away from him, which is why I'm going to say Jailton Almeida is the best wrestler in heavyweight and why he could give everyone problems in that division. I feel like he learned from his mistake with Curtis Blades, knowing when to like let go of takedowns, so I feel like he's going to develop from that. But other than that, I don't see him losing ever again in his UFC career unless he gets really old. But his wrestling's going to take him a long way, especially in the heavyweight division. He did used to fight at light heavyweight. If he goes back down to light heavyweight, he will ragdoll Pereira. He would do whatever bro, light heavyweight and heavyweight, he can out wrestle anyone, anywhere. It doesn't matter who they are, but there will be easy wrestling for Jailton Almeida. He has a very brolic neck too. Like, shout out his neck. Pause. That sounds crazy, but like he has a brolic neck. He's crazy. So yeah, Jailton Almeida will ragdoll anyone, bro. It's just one of those things. Like, people don't acknowledge him as much because he's a heavyweight, so they want to give him respect. But I really think, like, open your eyes and look how good he is, and you have to respect him because he's the best, one of the best wrestlers in UFC, which is top 3 in my opinion. Coming in at the number 2 spot, I got Bilal. Remember the name Muhammad. And the reason I have Bilal in the number 2 spot is because I feel like Bilal's wrestling is really effective. Bro, the stupid narrative that like Leon Edwards is such a good defensive wrestler, Bilal won't take him down. I can't believe I was hearing that. Bilal actually destroyed Leon worse in the wrestling department than anyone. I think he even did it better than Kamaru Usman did it. I'll be real. I just think Bilal went in there and out wrestled him significantly, showed him levels. Bilal Muhammad's wrestling is like peculiar because like he shows that he's better than them. Like, he just shows that he can go in there and out wrestle anyone he wants to. The thing about Bilal, he doesn't wrestle every fight. Like, against Sean Brady, he knows Sean Brady's a good wrestler, so he didn't really wrestle him often. He just stood and struck with him and TKO'd him in the second round. Gilbert Burns, he didn't wrestle probably because of BJJ threat, and he still 50-45'd him. But when he's forced to wrestle against Vicente Luque, out wrestles him. Wonder Boy got 30-25, dude. Like, 30-25. Do you know how bad it is to lose 30-25, dude? That's 2 10-8 rounds, man. Like, it's that bad. We have stuff like that happening against the best people. Like, Bilal just going there and ragdolling him. I just feel like every time Bilal utilizes his wrestling, he shows that he's levels ahead of most people in the wrestling department. People think, like, Shavkat's a good wrestler. I'm telling you, if they actually book Shavkat versus Bilal, you're going to see Bilal show him what wrestling level is. Shavkat's like an overrated wrestler. I think people just think Shavkat wrestles because he's from Kazakhstan. He's more of a striker than anything. He has good, like, grappling in BJJ, but his overall wrestling, Bilal's way ahead of Bilal. There's not really a welterweight in the division currently who has better wrestling than Bilal. Usman's probably the only one who's up there with him, but Usman's, of course, getting older, which I put him number 8 on this list for a reason. But yeah, the way like Hamzat did Usman, I don't think anyone can do that to Bilal. Like, I just feel like Bilal is a little bit more defensively inclined in his wrestling. He stuffs every takedown. Like, he didn't shoot against Burns, but Burns shot against him. That one takedown Burns shot against him got stuffed. I just feel like it's just a different level of wrestling for Bilal. So I feel like people got to respect him and acknowledge him as one of the best wrestlers in the UFC, if not the best wrestler in the UFC. Coming in at the number 1 spot, I got Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Boris Chimaev. And why do I have a Khamzat number 1? I just feel like Every single fight he goes in there and implements wrestling, he has succeeded. He's the best offensive wrestler in UFC history. When I say this, I mean it, because he goes in there and like destroys people in the first round, no matter who you are. Kamaru Usman had the best statistic takedown defense in UFC history before he fought Khamzat Chimaev. Went in there and got taken down multiple times by Khamzat Chimaev and 10-8 in the first round. Nobody 10-8 Usman in the first round off of wrestling. It's just not. If someone were to tell me someone could do that in the UFC, I'd be like, you're bullshitting me. But obviously, Khamzat Chimaev could do that. Khamzat's a really good offensive wrestler. Ragdolls people. You see what he does against people like Kevin Holland, who are great grapplers, you know, BJJ black belts and all that, but they can't even roll with him because he gets you down quickly, rolls with you, and submits you. He's that good. If you're not like high level of a wrestler, he's gonna make you look goofy. He's gonna pick you up like he did with the Leech, and even drag Gilbert Burns across the octagon. He would wrestle you. It doesn't matter who the fuck you are. A big like kind of faulty thing from Khamzat is that he sometimes fatigues. But in his recent fight with Kamaru Usman, even though it was only 3 rounds, he was able to take down Usman every single round. So yes, he does slow down, but I think it's normal to slow down when you're going at that pace of Khamzat. Khamzat's pacing is his issue more than his, like, he sucks at, he has horrible gassing. I just think his pacing is his issue. Like, he goes in there and he kind of wants to wrestle. Like, he doesn't really slow down. So of course he's going to get slower over second and third round over the course of rounds. But I do think it's more of a pacing thing than an endurance thing. But he's still able to take down Usman every single round, second and third too. So it shows me that, yeah, even when he's tired, he still has the dog in him to go in there and still take you down. Of course, he's going to go against Robert Whittaker in 308, and I do think he's going to ragdoll Whittaker and show him levels. Whittaker's a good defensive wrestler too, but watch what happens when he goes in there with Khamzat Chimaev. You're going to see how good of an offensive wrestler Khamzat Chimaev really is, and I feel like people got to start like understanding he's really good. And yes, he might fatigue as the rounds go because his pacing, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's a horrible wrestler because he's still able to take down people even when he's tired. So that's why I have Khamzat number 1. I do think he's the best wrestler in the UFC today. This is my list, bro. Let me know how I did. I feel like I cooked a little bit. Like I said, wrestling is taking over the UFC, so I do want to know what you guys think. If you like in the order, if you're not liking the order, let me know if I missed anyone. But that's it for me, and God bless. 2.